And then when you go through it, you're like, where did that come from? Didn't know that was going to happen. It just makes me love him that much more. Girl was not fine. Girl was not fine. Hey y'all, and welcome back. Today's video is a little bit different. I'm sitting down answering some questions for you, answering questions that you all ask. Normally around here, in case you're new, normally around here we do daily vlogs Monday through Friday. We upload a video for you every afternoon, Monday through Friday, share our life with you. But we had several new friends around here, so I thought I would see if anybody had any questions. You did, and today I'm going to answer them. I asked in a couple of different places if anybody had questions. I asked in a YouTube video, on the community tab, over on Instagram, and I tried to make sure that I didn't miss anybody or any of the questions when I was writing them down. If I did, it was not on purpose. I did not mean to. And if I missed your question, make sure you let me know down in the comments so I can answer it for you. If you have questions that I don't answer today, something you want to know, let me know down in the comments and I'll do my best to answer. I thought about putting these in order, all the homeschooling questions together, all the YouTube, postpartum, lifestyle questions together, but instead I've just left them in random order. We're going to go through all of them and answer them. They are all fantastic questions, things that I'm really passionate about and excited to talk with you about and answer for you. Hopefully I don't get too long-winded and make a 2-hour long video, but I want to make sure that I am thorough in answering these questions. With that said, I need to go ahead and get started. Question number 1, and I'm looking at the list right here if you see me looking down. Question number 1, advice for new YouTubers trying to grow their channel. Well, I am still a very small channel myself, learning and growing, and that would be my first bit of advice. Always be willing to learn and to grow. I have channels of all sizes that I try to learn from and grow through learning what they have to say, taking their advice, asking for their advice, listening to their experiences and what they've gone through and what they've done, and trying to apply that to my life and my scenario and my channel. Always still keeping it my life and my channel, because that's what's important as well. Take advice, hear advice, have mentors and people that you look up to, but remember that this is your channel and it is your platform, and you need to be sharing what you are passionate about because it shows. There have been times where I thought I needed to be creating videos that would generate traffic, videos that people would want to see, whether I was passionate about it or not, and it shows when you do that. It shows when you're creating content that you're not really passionate about, and it shows when you're creating content that you are passionate about. And so that would be my advice. Continue to learn, continue to grow, continue to keep your channel what you want it to be, and share the content that you want to share. Be passionate about it, because before you are ever monetized, before you ever make $1 off of YouTube, before you ever have 1 subscriber, you did it because it was something you enjoyed, hopefully. I enjoy filming. I enjoy editing. I enjoy doing this. And so that is ultimately why I do it. I enjoy connecting with you all. Regardless of how many subscribers I have, regardless of how much money I make, I enjoy what I'm doing and I enjoy connecting with you. And that's what's important, and that would be my biggest advice. Enjoy it, and enjoy the moment you're in. Whether you have 1 subscriber or 100,000 subscribers, enjoy the moment that you're in. How has postpartum been? It's definitely had its ups and downs, and I'm not afraid to share about it. I want to share about it because I don't want anybody to ever feel like they're alone. I don't want anybody to feel like they're alone in life in general. But especially in this postpartum season, there are a lot of things that I think people don't share. And then when you go through it, you're like, where did that come from? Didn't know that was going to happen. So I'm not afraid to share. And I've definitely had ups and downs. It started off fantastic, really easy. And I shared about that in our birth story. I'll link that down in the description box in case you've not seen it. But it started off really easy. Labor and delivery went really well. I didn't have any tearing or anything like that that I needed to heal from. I didn't get an epidural, and so I didn't have any of the back issues that I've had in the past when I did get epidural. So my first 2 kids I did, and I had a lot of back problems. Still to this day will occasionally have problems from it. And then with my last 2, I didn't. and my recovery was so much easier. So I didn't have any of that to deal with initially. Then at about, I guess, 3 weeks postpartum, I had some bleeding issues that thankfully got under control on their own. Things that were fairly common, but I'd never experienced before. When they tell you to take the stool softener, take the stool softener. I had never taken it before and never had any problems and thought, nah, I'm fine. Girl was not fine. Girl was not fine. And took weeks to recover from. I also started having some issues with my teeth. When I was pregnant, I wasn't getting enough calcium and vitamin D. After talking to my OB and my dentist and just my own knowledge, I was not getting enough calcium and vitamin D just with my prenatal vitamin and what I was eating. And your body, to make sure that baby has what they need, it will start taking those vitamins from other areas. So from my bones, from my teeth. And I had to suffer the consequences of that. I had one tooth that broke and got infected. And I take really good care of my teeth. And I still, it still happened. And it was almost like I knew it was a possibility, but didn't think it would happen. And it did. I had to go through 2 different antibiotics to clear up the infection. I was in so much pain. Laying in the bathroom floor, crying in pain. I was miserable. Now, with the direction of my doctor I'm on, I'm still taking a prenatal vitamin. I'm taking calcium. I'm taking extra vitamin D. We're taking care of that, and I'm being aware of what I'm eating and drinking and making sure that I get what I need. Obviously, I thought that I was doing well during pregnancy. I thought maybe. I don't think I was now. Obviously, baby's fine, but I had to kind of deal with some issues because of that. As far as that goes, physically, I feel like I am getting back to myself. Anytime you have a baby, whether it's your first or your fourth, getting back to yourself looks a little bit different, but I'm feeling like myself. Mentally, I have done fantastic the whole time. I have never felt this good postpartum, mentally and emotionally. I've not felt overwhelmed. I've not felt like things were out of control. I can remember with my others, them crying and me being like, oh, I don't know what to do. Why are you crying? You're crying again. Not that I didn't love my kids and want to take care of them, but I just felt overwhelmed. I've not really had that this go around. I don't know if it's experience, if it's age, if it's just how my body is responding this time, how my mind is responding, but I have felt really good emotionally and mentally, and hopefully it stays that way. And real quick before we move on, if you are having any issues postpartum, if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you are having issues physically, mentally, emotionally, don't be afraid to seek help. You are not alone in your struggle. Is Huddy's name a nickname for Hudson, or is it his real given name? Did you love it the first time you heard it? And I don't think I've ever addressed that here on this channel. So Huddy is a nickname for Hudson. When we were pregnant with Easton, our top 3 names were Easton, Hudson, and Gabriel. Obviously, we went with Easton. And then when we were pregnant with Huddy, we didn't really talk about Hudson at first. We were actually going to name him Marshall. That was the name that we had kind of decided was going to be his name, was Marshall. And then over time, I didn't really think that was his name. I didn't feel like that was his name. And so I asked Justin, what do you want to name him? I don't feel like Marshall is his name. And he said, well, what about Hudson? And we could use the nickname Huddy. And if you're a Braves fan, this will all make sense to you. But Tim Hudson was a pitcher for the Braves, and Bobby Cox was the manager. And when he would cheer him on, he would always call him Huddy. And so that's where that kind of came from. And it was just going to be a nickname, but it stuck. Late in my pregnancy, we started calling him Huddy. When he was born, we started calling him Huddy, and it just stuck. And now I can't imagine him being anything different. His given name is Hudson, and he does get called Hudson every once in a while. He gets called Hud every once in a while. But he's our Huddy. And I think with any name, anytime you welcome, and maybe this is just me, maybe I'm going to sound crazy, but I feel like anytime you welcome a new child into your family and you have this new name, it takes a little bit to get used to, regardless of what it is. I've always kind of felt that way with our kids. I've been confident in their name, but then when they get here, like, it takes just a little while to get used to having this little human with this name. So it took a little while, and I can remember some people reacting kind of, well, what's his name? Well, it's Hudson, but we call him Huddy, or it's Huddy. And I can remember people kind of reacting strange to that at first, but now I don't ever notice that. He's just Huddy. What are your beliefs as a Christian? And what study Bible do you use? My beliefs as a Christian is that God sent Jesus to this earth to live a perfect, sinless life so that he would be the ultimate sacrifice for our sins. We have to have our sins covered in order to be in heaven with God. He cannot look on our sins. He cannot accept our sins. They have to be covered in sacrifice. And Jesus was that sacrifice. He lived a perfect, sinless life, died on the cross, took all of our sins on him when he died on that cross, and then he rose from the dead. If he had not risen from the dead, he would have just been a good man. But he rose from the dead, and that made him who he said he was. That proved that he was who he said he was. And for us to be able to accept that gift, that free gift of salvation, now I say free, he paid the price. It's free to us. All we have to do is accept it. We have to admit that we are sinners and that his death on that cross and his resurrection is what it took to cover our sins. We have to believe that he is who he said he was, that he did what he did, and that he did it for us. And that is our gift of salvation. And when we leave this world, we'll get to be in heaven with him. And that's in general my beliefs as a Christian when it comes to salvation. And then what Bible I use, let me just go get it real quick. This is the Bible that I'm using, have been for years. Is it focused? Maybe. And I love the extra information that it gives, the things it has at the beginning of different chapters, the things it has throughout the chapter, the word studies that it has. It's a great Bible, and I enjoy using it. Regardless of what you have, even if it's just a Bible app on your phone, because sometimes that's what I use. It's just a Bible app on my phone. And regardless of what you're using, just get in the Word. Just get in the Word. Because I can tell you, it makes a huge difference when you take the time to read God's Word. I've gone through stages of life where I've gotten out of that routine of having that daily time, and it makes a huge difference just in my life in general when I spend time in this book right here, whether it's this or the app on my phone. Whatever you have access to, use it. Do you have a video on how and when you first started homeschooling at a kindergarten level? I have a couple of videos. I have a homeschool morning routine. I'll link that. I have an end of the year review showing what we used, what worked and what didn't. I'll link that. Let me tell you, you have to kind of evaluate what's best for you, for your family, for your child. It's going to look different for everybody, and that's what I kind of love about homeschooling is you can do that. If we had not had older children that we were also homeschooling, I might have done it a little bit different. As far as history and science, he sat down and did those things with my older kids because he wanted to, and it worked out. He enjoyed it. We had a good time. He learned from it. If he had not been doing those things, and I still could have done this separately, but I felt like it would have been too much, we would have done something simple like community helpers for social studies. We would have done maybe a nature journal and a few science experiments here and there for science. We would have spent most of our time, and we did spend most of our time focusing on reading and writing and arithmetic. Reading, learning letters and their sounds, and starting to put small words together, learning how to write our letter, write our name, learning shapes and colors, counting, and starting to add and subtract. Keep kindergarten simple. It's a great time to learn how your child learns best, to figure out how your child learns best. Use that year as that time to start introducing school, teaching the basics, getting a good foundation, and just having fun and figuring out how your child learns best. I will link those videos in case you want to see them, and you can see what we used and how our days went. How do you coordinate family time when your husband is home? I don't know that I've ever really thought much about that. We just kind of go with what's natural, go with the flow, and it works for us. I will say there's going to be some changes coming up, and we'll be sharing all of that with you. With Justin's new promotion, I guess, at work, there's been some changes in his work schedule, and he is getting home really late in the afternoon. Sometimes Wyatt's asleep when he leaves and asleep when he gets home, and that's not working for us. So we're going to be making some changes. We're going to be sharing all that with you. It's things that I'm really excited about and excited for what it will do for our family time. But my biggest advice would be make time for your family. Yes, it's important to provide for your family, and Justin is fantastic at that. He makes sure that he provides for his family and that all of our needs are met. But don't sacrifice your family in the process. And so we're aware of making sure that we make time for our family, and we're going to do what it takes to make that happen, and we're going to share it with you. How do you like your new washer and dryer? I'm considering the same set soon. I love it. I love it. And I have told myself, don't get so excited over a washer and dryer. But we don't get things just to get them. We don't spend money just to spend it. We don't get new things just to get new things. It's usually when we need it. And I wasn't going to get this set, but God worked it out so that I could. And yes, our washing machine was tore up. We were having to hand wring clothes when they came out of the washer. But getting this new set of washer and dryers was definitely a God thing that He worked out. And I am so thankful and happy about it. And happy to have them and excited to have them. My clothes just feel clean, smell clean, look clean. I'm using the same laundry products. I just have this new washer and dryer. And it makes a difference. If you know, you know. You can tell when your clothes they're just more clean. And I feel like they are. And they are drying so much quicker. There are some things that I've had to get used to because I've never had a washer and dryer with all of these features, I guess. And so I've had to learn all about that. And like apparently the washer will give you a reminder to self-clean after so many cycles. I didn't know what was going on. And the dryer has a sensor in it to sense when the clothes are dry, and so it will automatically cut itself off. Things that I've had to learn and figure out, but I'm loving them, and I'm so happy to have them. Any plans for more babies? That one got me. Any plans for more babies? We are putting it in God's hands. We have always prayed about, would we have more children after each child? Is there another child out there for us? And kind of let God lead. I don't know if we'll have more babies or not. I'm just going to pray about it and follow where God leads. Justin and I have had a roller coaster when it comes to growing our family. We have 4 children here on this earth with us, but we have 4 babies in heaven. And I could do a whole video on that. It's another one of those things that I'm not afraid to share about. I feel like God gave us that story. Part of the reason that God gave us that story was to be able to help others, to share that with others. And so I'm not afraid to share about that if you want to know more. But we went through a season where it was really, really easy to get pregnant, but we were not keeping the pregnancies. We saw fertility specialists. We had the children that we had, and then we went through a spell where I felt like God was saying, I have another child for you, but we weren't getting pregnant. We were dealing with secondary infertility, and that was a whole new thing that I wasn't used to. And God was still telling me that He had another child for us, and I'm thinking, well then God, why am I not getting pregnant? And I actually reached out to some of my friends that I've made through YouTube and was talking to them about it, and people were praying for us, and by golly, now we have Wyatt, and God just opened the doors of heaven and sent a blessing to us, and I'm so thankful for that. So will we have more children? I don't know. I'm just going to pray about it and follow where the good Lord leads. What's your favorite childhood memory and food? This is a great question. This is a fun question. My favorite childhood memory, and I can almost still close my eyes and go back to that time. My parents worked full time, and so after school and then during the summer, we stayed with my grandparents, my mama and pawpaw. And pawpaw, he's in his late 80s now and he still has a garden. But back then, he had a huge garden and they were preserving and canning and freezing and doing those things all summer long. And I can remember Mama Della, she wasn't blood related anyhow, I don't think, but she might as well have been. She would come and we would sit on the porch and shuck corn. And I can remember they had this piece of wood that had a blade on it, and it would go on the sink, and they had a dish pan under it, and they would run the corn over it to scrape the corn off the cob. And I would go over there and stick my head in the sink just to smell that. It was my favorite smell. I can still close my eyes and feel like I'm standing at that sink smelling of that corn. And we would sit and shell peas and break beans. I can remember them quilting and me sitting under the quilt rack. Those are my favorite memories as a child. And food, still to this day, my favorite foods are chicken and dumplings and Mama's goulash. And after those days of them canning all day long, Mama Della would make chicken and dumplings. And I've shared on here before how she did it. She would roll her dough out and then roll it up in a log and slice it. And me and my sister, we would stand there and she would lay them over our hands and we'd drop them in the water. We would have chicken and dumplings. Mama used to always, one of her go-tos for Sunday lunch was goulash. It still is. And so I can remember eating Mama's goulash. So those are my favorite foods and my favorite childhood memories. What do you do for fun? Just you. And then what do you enjoy doing for yourself? Any hobbies? Those kind of go together. I don't make as much time for myself as I probably should. But one of my favorite things to do just by myself is to go get a pedicure. I enjoy it. It's quiet. It's relaxing. I'll do that every once in a while. I also enjoy baking and decorating cakes. I don't do that as much as I used to. It's a little more difficult with more children, but I love baking and decorating. I'll go ahead and pop a few pictures up right here just so that you can see some of the cakes that I've done. I've shared them on Instagram before, I think, when somebody asked about hobbies, but I love it. And I'm proud of it because it's something that is self-taught. I just, taught myself how to do it, and proud of it, I guess, that I taught myself. I don't know, but I enjoy doing it, and it's a great creative outlet for me. I enjoy hunting and fishing and just being outdoors. Hunting especially, I think maybe it's the conservation part of it, the fact that God has given us these things for food and given us these things to take care of and to be good stewards of. And we're doing our part and he's feeding us through it. I don't know. And sitting out there, especially deer hunting, the quietness of it, the peacefulness of it, I love that. It's something that my children have really come to love. Dove hunting is fun. It's exciting. Again, good food. I enjoy it. And I also enjoy thrift shopping. We have a thrift store here. I can't remember if I've ever taken y'all there before or not. I need to. We need to go again. And it's another place that my kids love going. It's kind of a place that's a mixture between a thrift store, antique store, flea market. It's 3 floors with all these booths that people rent. And you stand there and you just see booths for what seems like miles. Booth after booth after booth, floor after floor after floor. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I have several pieces around my house. These quilt racks came from there. There's things that people have made. There's antiques. There's more garage sale, yard sale type booths, a little bit of everything. And I love going there too. So I guess that's kind of like a hobby. Do you have a set budget for different things each week? Yes, we have pretty much always lived on a budget, especially as a single income family. I have a cash wallet. And I shared it whenever I got it off of Amazon, and it's linked in my Amazon storefront. But I love it. I love the cash envelopes that are in it and the way that it's set up. And I've not been as good about getting cash out since Wyatt was born, just getting to the bank and getting the cash. But I still, even if I don't have cash in there, I'm aware of how much I have to spend for groceries, how much we have to eat out, how much we have for different bills and things like that. I'm very, very, very aware of our budget and have to be. And I hope that maybe one day I won't have to be as aware of the amount of money that we have in the bank or the amount of money that we have to spend. I don't know, maybe. But even then, I hope that I'm always very aware of how much money we have and how we spend it. And I think I will. I think I will always be that way, regardless of how much money we have. But I do love that cash envelope system. And I love that it keeps me on track. It's very easy to see how much money you have left when it's right there in front of you. What is your favorite part about homeschooling? And then I also got asked, why do you homeschool? I think these kind of go together. We started homeschooling. My children, my older two, were in public school. And then the world changed and schools shut down. And the way our school system did it, if the kids had over a certain grade average, they did not have to finish out the school year. They could take the grade that they had. And that's what we chose to do, but I still chose to teach them at home. And then going into the next school year, at the time, I was working a part-time job. So when school shut down, Justin and I were both working. And I was working part-time, but it was Monday through Friday. I was still able to take the kids to school, go to work, and then I got off work in time to go get the kids from school. So it worked out. Then when things started shutting down, I was working at a private Catholic school, and my schedule changed to only working 2 days a week, which worked out because the kids were not in school and I was there with them most of the time and could have somebody keep them when I did need to go to work. Actually, I was only working half a day on 2 days. And then once we got time for school to start back, I knew that I was going to be needing to go back to 5 days a week. The kids, school was still so uncertain. They were going to go back to school. They were going to be wearing masks, and they, could potentially have to quarantine for 2 weeks if they were around anybody. And what are we going to do if that happens? Because we're both working. I'd always wanted to homeschool anyway. Since Audrey started school, I'd wanted to homeschool, and Justin wanted them in public school. And the school they were going to was great, so I was okay with that. But this kind of opened that door for us. And, of course, I jumped in head first. It was like, here's my opportunity. And we started homeschooling, and we have loved it. We have absolutely loved it. We chose to homeschool again this year. I'm always going to do what's best for my kids. Audrey, for example, she does miss school sometimes. And so, we're looking for ways to make sure that we're giving her what she needs while still, some of the reasons that I enjoy homeschooling is because I get to choose what my children learn and how they learn it. I get to tailor their education to what works best for them. And so, I still want to kind of make sure that she's in a place that I feel like she should be, as well as giving her what she feels like she needs. So we're always kind of open to making sure that, our kids are getting what they need and what works best for them, while making sure we protect our morals and what we want our kids to be learning and be exposed to. It's something that I feel like we're always going to be trying to figure out and make sure we're doing what's best. And that's what we're going to keep doing. Right now, I'm so happy with where we're at and what we're doing. We'll always just be trying to make sure we're doing what's best for our kids. What job does Justin have, and is he a preacher? He is a preacher. He's not pastoring a church right now, but he is a preacher. You could probably call him an associate pastor at the church that we attend. He preaches there about once a month, and then he travels around our area and preaches at other churches, fills in for their pastors, preaches special occasions, those kinds of things. And so he is a preacher. He is also, and I'm probably going to butcher his job title, Justin, if you are watching and I do not say this right, let us know down in the comments. But he is a senior IT tech manager, IT tech senior manager. I don't know. He does IT work for a restaurant chain that's here in the South. They have stores in Alabama, in Tennessee, Georgia, Mississippi. And he started out doing IT work, going out to the stores, and then he was promoted to, I guess, an IT manager or supervisor, where he was still going out to stores, but he was also coordinating the other IT techs. And then he's received another promotion where he's in the office every day now at their corporate office. And he's over the, I guess, field techs and office techs. I don't know. He does IT work for a restaurant, and he's some kind of manager. He does stuff that I get headaches over. I get frustrated over IT stuff, and I'm like, Justin can figure it out. That's what he does. How old are you and Justin, and how long have you been married? Justin is 35. I am 32. I have to do the math, y'all. I'm 32, almost 33, and we've been married for 14 years. I graduated high school in May, and then we got married in June. He was 20 and I was 18. That's a song. That's a song. But that's how old we were when we got married. We were high school sweethearts and would have never imagined, I did imagine that we would be married and that we would have a family. But what we have is just so much better than I ever imagined as a teenager getting ready to marry my high school sweetheart. God has blessed us through our marriage and through our relationship. Baby sleep. I'm a first-time mom and need all the help. I go against the grain. And what I'm going to tell you is not what most people would say, but what works for us. I kind of let Wyatt set his own routine and his own sleep schedule. I know a lot of people will say, put them down for a nap at the same time every day. Put them down for the night at the same time every day. And I know some people have to do that. But being a stay-at-home mom, I kind of have the luxury of being able to let him nap when he wants to nap. Kind of let his body tell us what he needs. He's gone through spells where he would take 2 longer naps during the day, and then spells where what he's doing right now, where he takes what I like to call power naps. They may be 10 minutes, they may be 30 minutes, but he takes maybe 4 shorter naps during the day. As long as he wakes up from those naps happy and not acting like he still needs to be, like his body still wants to be asleep, then I just let him wake up. If he's kind of fussy and acting like he still wants to sleep, then I might try to get him to go back to sleep and take a longer nap. But we just go with what he acts like he needs. And then at night, he kind of puts himself to sleep for the night around 7 or 8. I say for the night. He still wakes up during the night. If he was staying awake till 11 or 12, I might try to get him to go to sleep earlier. But between 7 and 8, he usually falls asleep. And that's his, I'm going to stay asleep for a little while kind of sleep. And he will usually wake up once or twice during the night to get his diaper changed and eat, and he goes back to sleep. My biggest advice would be, during the night, have what you need there beside you. He's in the room with us. Diapers and wipes are there ready to go. If you need feeding items, have them there. With my kids that were bottle fed, I had bottles with water already in it and the formula sitting there, so all I had to do was mix it. If they needed it heated, I even had a bottle warmer there. Not having to get up and cause a bunch of commotion, cutting on lights. I used to feel like if they woke up in the middle of the night, I needed to talk to them, and I needed to have a light on so they could see me, and that I needed to interact with them. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, if I wake up, I don't want somebody doing that. I don't want somebody doing all that. And he doesn't either. He wants to get his diaper changed, eat, and go back to sleep. He doesn't need me talking to him. He doesn't need lights cut on, so I don't do it, and we sleep better. I don't talk. I don't stir him. I just cut the light on my phone, the flashlight, so there's a little bit of light and I can see, and I change his diaper, and I'm breastfeeding, so it's really easy to just feed him, and he goes back to sleep, and that's how our nights go. I try not to stir him too much. I try not to create too much commotion, and it works out for us. Connecting with your spouse after becoming a mom, extra points for tips on intimacy. I think, and maybe this is something, like I was mentioning earlier, that's come with age or experience. Maybe it's just something we figured out or something that works for us. But Justin and I feel like we connect over having these little ones. Just having this baby that God has allowed us to create. There's something so special about that is a thread that holds us together. I don't think any relationship should revolve around your children. It shouldn't revolve around a lifestyle. It shouldn't revolve around just the other person. But there's all these things that weave together to make a relationship what it is. And having a baby, having that part of our relationship, I feel like tightens our connection a little bit. It does my heart good to see him playing with our children, to see him smiling and laughing and talking to them. Whenever Wyatt cries, and I think this is one thing that has really helped me out too, this postpartum experience, and just feeling like I was kind of on top of it, having a good attitude and a good outlook. It kind of feeds off the way that Justin reacts, and maybe the way he reacts feeds off the way I do. I don't know, but I found that he has just been so gentle, and he always has been. But there's just something that I feel like he has decided that he's going to do, and it's, Wyatt's crying and he doesn't. Tiffany, come figure out what's wrong. He'll go up to him and he'll say, what do you need, buddy? What can I do for you? That does my heart good. And it does something for my attitude and for my outlook, and it does something for our connection with each other. It just makes me love him that much more. And that has been such a blessing, and something that we've really kind of connected through, is just having this little one. And then as far as intimacy, sometimes you just have to be intentional, and sometimes you just have to give yourself grace. There were times, like I was talking about, where my body just, even though I felt like it should be ready, it just wasn't ready. I gave myself grace. Justin was never pushy, never has been. Even when you have a toddler, though, sometimes you have to be intentional because it's not as easy. Sometimes you have to be intentional, and sometimes you just have to give yourself grace. Sometimes you can choose to be intimate just by giving each other a hug, smacking them on the butt, giving them a kiss on the cheek. Find your ways to be intentional, but don't forget to give yourself some grace. And that's your questions. Thank y'all so much for asking and giving me the opportunity to share with you. I hope this allowed you to learn a little bit more about us, learn a little bit more about me. Like I said, if I accidentally skipped any questions, or if you have something that I didn't answer, leave it down in the comments and I'll do my best to answer that for you. If you're not already subscribed, if you're not already one of us, well, you might as well be now because you know all about us. Hit that subscribe button. Join our family. We upload every afternoon, Monday through Friday, sharing our life with y'all. And we'd love to have you stick around. We love you. We appreciate you. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye, y'all.